Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today checking out some Fanø Bryghus beer. Fanø Bryghus is a classic Danish brewery by now, really. They've been around for a while and they've gone through a few iterations. I was at the brewery for the Strong Beer Festival they held a little while back, and also at Esbjerg Bryghus over in Esbjerg, which was awesome, great times. The people there are awesome, both places. But Fanø was a brewery I reviewed quite a few beers from back in the day when they had their other American brewmaster, Ryan Witter, who is now running a brewery in the States that you might know called Casita, which is quite famous. But then there was they had all these cool collabs and all these really modern beers and whatnot. It was really nice. And then there was just this huge dry spell, and there was nothing really showed up and whatnot until a few years ago when Steve Rold became brewmaster and his wife Jessica came along as well, and who's doing the artwork, and they really just went nuts with things. And of course, they'll brew a lot of the classic stuff that I guess the locals know the brewery for, but they started doing barrel aging, and I think the first beer that really kind of put them back on the map was Red Wedding, which is I think is it port wine barrel aged imperial stout, something like that, with some adjuncts. Oh, I can't remember, but they've done a series now. They have Red Wedding, White Wedding, and Black Wedding. And all of them, they do a lot of barrel aged beers. They do wee heavies, all kinds of stuff, and all of them are often references to old Danish history and whatnot. But yeah, they're just doing some awesome stuff, and it's awesome to see a brewery that once was at quite high acclaim come back to it, because they won Brewery of the Year last year. Was it last year? I think so. Rightfully so. They're doing awesome stuff. But when we were there, we had, of course, a beer. And one of the beers that I was really surprised by was their brown ale called Vadehav. That was so good. And I'm usually not a fan of brown ales. So I was like, well, this is really, really good. It was really nutty and caramelly, toffee. Just really good. It was made with Chico yeast. So it was quite clean. So it didn't have that classic British type ester profile. So it's more like a, I guess a cross between an American and British interpretation, because it was really not that Americanized. A lot of an American brown is a bit more hoppy and whatnot. So some kind of fusion. But they had this variant that I was like, oh man, I need to drink this. So I got a bottle to bring home. And this is Fanø Bryghus smoked Vadehav, a smoked version of their brown ale. It even got the treatment of being in the Schlenkala mug. I rarely use this for anything but smoked beers. But yeah, 6.8% brown ale on 12 IBUs here. And yeah, it's a brown ale brewed with a small addition of smoked barley, adding a smoky character to the toasted and chocolate aromas typically present in their brown ale. And yeah, that's definitely nuances I got in their brown ale. It was really good, as I said. But yeah, just a touch of smoked malt, which just to me seems awesome, because I dig the smoke. So it's got pale ale malt, Munich malt, smoked barley, heavy malt, Cara aroma, brown malt, and chocolate malt. And the hops are Admiral and East Kent Golding, and the yeast is the Chico from White Labs, VLP 001, and mild smoky toast. I mean, they got everything on here. It's awesome. I love that they put everything on the bottle. It's really cool. Not too many brewers do it, but it's always fun, so you can geek out a bit. But we got it poured, and that's a nice chestnutty kind of amber color, slightly hazy. It looks like what I expect when I see a brown ale. When I poured it out, it had a really nice, big, frothy, beige-looking head, slightly creamy, caramelly looking. Looks nice. Let's check out the aroma on smoked Vadehav. Yep, it definitely has a smoke profile. It's it's not smack in your face. It's as light as they say, but I don't think it's underplayed. It's definitely present. It's definitely an extra layer of complexity, like a nice, soft, meaty smokiness. It definitely smells like some kind of beechwood smoked malt, I think, or just definitely not peat, because it has that savory, smoked, cured charcuterie type thing going on. And underneath is really nutty, really toffee heavy, really caramelly, like this exact same thing I got from their regular Vadehav. And it's so interesting because brown ales are usually not my thing, but this just smells awesome, and so did their regular version. yeah, just layers of these nutty nuances and whatnot. The regular one also has a touch of hoppiness, like a slightly nibbly hetero type, like classic EKG fruity hop flavor, and nettily and whatnot, spicy. It's not too present here. I think the smoke overtakes it a bit, but I think this might also be a little bit older. It says best before the 30th of April. So maybe it's from the 30th of April last year. Let's try it. Cheers. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a Rauchbier-like. But I think it's actually, yeah, it's a bit more pungent on the aroma than on the flavor profile. The smoke, that is. But it's definitely there. And it plays really well with the other flavors in the beer. Like, this is not like a beer that's gonna blow your mind and whatever. It's just a really, really nice drinkable beer, a really well-made beer. And it's the same with the brown ale. I think the brown ale, when I had the brewery really fresh on draft, was a little bit more vibrant and full than this, but it's still really nice. Again, with most beer, you just want it quite fresh. But yeah, soft touches of meaty smoke. It's got caramel, it's got toffee, it's got toasted nuttiness, even like the slightest like sweet toffee, butterscotch nuance. Well, maybe not so much now on this. It might just be a little bit. Like in these kind of beers, diacetyl, especially if it's English style, is somewhat wanted. And I think it can work in these kind of beers, giving complexity. Like in an IPA, it's a total off flavor. But in a English, like mild or bitter or brown ale, whatever, stuff like that, it can work quite well. And maybe there's a touch, or maybe it's just a bit of malt sweetness. There's definitely also a nice kind of bready flavor to it. Toasted breadiness. Yeah, Munich malt. There you go. That's going to give you a lot of breadiness. And so is brown malt, I think. And then I think the fresh regular version, the chocolate malt, was also a bit more apparent. There was a slight kind of like coca nibby type thing or something like that. Whereas this, because of the smoke, that overtakes it a little bit. So they're actually quite different beers, the regular versus this, just because the smoke overshadows some other nuances. But yeah, rating wise, Brewed like an 88, 89, maybe a small 90. I think I'll actually score the regular brown ale a little higher, like around a 90, just because it really took me by surprise. It's rare that I have a brown ale that I like this much. And if like, yeah, it's smoky and it's lightly smoky, but if you compare it to like Shinkala with a full-on smoke, it doesn't compare, but it's not trying to be a Rauch beer, it's trying to be a brown ale with a touch of smoke. So it's, you know, it's close, but they're not exactly trying to do a heavy smoke beer. And again, I think a lot of brewers also try to not make Rauch beers or smoky beers too heavy on the smoke because they're afraid that consumers won't buy it because it's such a niche product. But it's really nice. It is. I definitely be able to drink a few of this. And it's really fun to try brown ale. Where I'm like, wow, I really like this, and I usually hate brown ales. So I think the only other in recent memory brown ale I had where I was like, wow, this is a nice brown ale was the Samuel Smith's Nut Brown Ale, actually, which was also a fine tipple. But yeah, if you guys had the Fanø smoked Vadehav, smoked brown ale, let me know what you thought of it. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page, Twitter, and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up, enjoyed it, ring the bell for future notifications about videos, and I'm gonna say cheers, and cheers to Fanø Bryghus for an awesome festival and event for the Strong Beer Festival. It was damn good times. And say cheers, and see you guys in another beer review.